Hello, welcome back to another Faz channel. I'm Jacob from J Books Corner, and today we are going to talk about my favorite book my first book of the year vlog. I film and I vlog my first and last book of the year. These are things I've been doing. It's like 2020. It's been a very long time. We've done these for several years now. I just posted my last book of the year vlog. In case you're curious, I'll link you over to it. I want to come here and do a little bit of a self promo. This is what's going on all the videos. So hi, how you guys doing? How's that Jacob? Is he doing good? I hope so. That being said, let's talk about Gunshot Residue. Starts off this trilogy. We have P49, which is the second book in this trilogy. And we also have Mr. St. James, which is the final book in this trilogy. All three books are available on Kindle Unlimited. All three books are wide, so you can buy them anywhere if you don't believe in Amazon. However, the ebook is exclusive to Amazon. I will review the log lines for all three. However, we'll go into a little bit more detail what the first one's about, because you have to read this one to be able to read these ones, you know what I mean? But let's first go through the log lines. Log lines are simply just like the top part right here. I'm not going to read you any of this, just this. So the first one is your husband's secrets enough to shatter your world, which I feel like is a pretty good theme for the book. The second one, which is this one, is what are you really capable of? And then the third one, which is this one, is how far are the bounds of love? Essentially, this follows an already married couple, Alex and DeMarcus. They are currently going through some marital problems at the beginning of this book. They've been together for 5 years, and Alex strongly believes that his husband is cheating on him. He just has this feeling. There's other people in his life that are kind of instigating him towards this realization as well, and so he takes it upon himself to figure out if his husband's actually cheating on him or not. And he actually warns that there's a bigger conspiracy mystery going on that overspans 3 different books that has to do with his husband. Once again, they are already married. These are spicy romantic suspense novellas. They're very short and they're very fast paced, so you can read them very quickly. That's all I got for you. I love them, but I wrote them, so I'm biased. That being said, jump back to a Jacob in whatever video you're watching. And every year I try to choose some type of gimmick, okay? Last year was duology. This year is going to be a 19-book series. However, I was a little too intimidated. I'm not going to lie to you. Because like the thing here is I'm definitely going to probably read the entire Cosmere this year, right? And I have no doubt in my mind. However, let's say one of the books doesn't end up hitting and I need a longer break from it. I don't want to have to force myself to get to that final Cosmere book by the end of January. I mean, by the end of December. That sounds very stressful to me. So we're not doing it. We're not committing. The next thing I want to do, because I'm so excited for my most anticipated release, which does not come out until the fall. I understand this. I want to do a reread, and I'm not done rereads yet, and I feel like starting and bookending the 2026 as a reread year is a great way to do it. I've been opposed to this in the past because I typically go based off my first read is how well I'm going to do for the rest of the year. For instance, my highest reading year was last year. I read 317, 19 something books. It was a large number. This is the number what it came out to be by the end of the year. This was a 4.5 read. I set myself up for such greatness, okay? And Elantris could have been a phenomenal read. I don't know. So I decided on rereads. Will these all obviously be 5 stars? Yes. But the thing with a reread, it just gets me back into reading. It makes me want to pick up more titles. And I'm not scared to pick up another title afterwards. And so I think it's just going to be like a nice, easy walkway into this world. Let me know if it's a cop-out, and obviously you already know my thoughts and opinions on this book as well, because I have documented my process while reading it pretty in-depthly already. Super sorry about that. So this could be a fail, and that's fine. Let me know in the comments. I'm so okay with you think it's a fail. However, I need a win. I could do new releases instead. Do you mean do new releases? I could do 30, flirty, and 30, flirty. I mean, it's not a guarantee. It could be like a 4, though. I think that comes out January 1st. Hold on. I'm talking myself out. Okay, I just want to come here and come in here and do a quick update on the first book of the year vlog. It's officially January 1st, and we are starting the book today. I have it. I will bring it with me to work. I'm working on it while I work on other stuff. There's a good chance I will finish it today, so we'll just do like a full review when I get home. So just to give you a heads up, I have no idea what this is about. I just read everything from this author, so I figured it was a good first choice of the year. All right, I'll get back to you. I will not lie to you. I just finished 30, Flirty, and Forever Alone, and I figured I'd come in here and close out this vlog. Let's talk about this book, because it was a whirlwind of an experience. One, I forgot that this was Christine's debut adult romance novel. The 3 other books I read from her, I would say had Tap to the Hip had some, it was a bit more leaning, more adult. I would say, oh gosh, her middle one what was that called? Something Together. I can't remember. Because like Again But Better was like somewhere in the between, but pretty much still like YA. Then the other one was really like much younger YA in my opinion. The Attached to the Hip kind of brought back more to adult. This was full adult, like a spicy adult. Was not expecting that. This feels vastly different from everything else she's written, in my opinion. This is like a whole brand new person wrote a book, is what it felt like to me personally. And I did absolutely adore it. I'm writing out 4.75. This follows Ricky as she believes her life is cursed, her love life is cursed, and she's going into 30 being alone. It opens up with a prologue with her having to give a speech at this wedding, which she promised everybody at the wedding that she'd bring a date. She got on several dates. She's a romantic columnist. She has a bachelor's degree. Romance in general, like everything is all about romance, and her romance life sucks. And after she goes to this wedding, she realizes, oh fuck, it's horrible. And then she ends up going to a second wedding afterwards, after this horrible thing that happens. It's funny, horrible. It's not like bad, horrible. And she ends up going to this other wedding where she ends up meeting the main love interest. I can't remember his name. My brain is tired. It's like 3 a.m. What is his name? I really don't remember. That's crazy. I don't have anything in front of me. She met the love interest and they hit it off immediately. Almost instantaneously, and she thought it was too good to be true, and then they end up going on this like long first encounter, and with this first encounter she ends up catching, the bouquet. They end up almost having sex in like a river, and they end up doing all these crazy things. She doesn't think she'll ever see him again, and then they jump into a somewhat of a situational ship pact that if they're ever in the same city, because they do live vastly different, that they can continue to date and continue to do these things, and they have keywords and stuff, but they can see other people because they know they live in vast different cities, and if they ever find anybody else, they'll just let the other person know. It's no big deal, very casual to it. There is a magical realism element to this, which is the part that's making it not a actual 5-star read for me, because it's so close to being a 5. If this part of the book did not exist, the only thing here is I don't want to say exactly what it is or what it does because I've not read the synopsis yet, and if it does not hold any context or meaning in the synopsis, I want this to all say that there is slightly magical realism, is all I'll say on the text, so I won't explain how. But if it is explained in the synopsis, because it happens like 38% into the book when it gets fully introduced to like what this thing is, and there's elements of this is pretty cool. I don't think it works. I thought I read somewhere I thought it was a different book where they felt like this was kind of like a cop-out, and I so agree it's a cop-out for the situation that they're in, because in reality this is like a long distance romance book about someone in their 30s going through something traumatic. Okay? By traumatic meaning their life. They have a best friend. Ricky has a best friend that she absolutely adores. She's having to move back in with her dad, or rent an apartment from her dad for free for 6 months. She works at a job that she really enjoys, where she writes a romance column, but her love life is a mess, and her mom and her are going through these motions. There's a lot of this book where it's a lot of like, oh, she's doing this. I don't think a lot of people are gonna like that. However, for this character and for the world that was brought into it, and because it felt so rich, I actually really loved the way Christine wrote it, and I think it really worked for this particular story. So like, I have no complaint, and I'm normally someone who's very much complaining about that. There's like this whole conversation where she has too much on her plate, and we are told that she has too much on her plate, but we're not really shown that she has too much on her plate. And I think in this context, I think it works, but I think in other books it does not work. So I can't tell you why this book is special, but I will have to say this book is special when it comes to me in this particular regard. Other things that I felt like were interesting that I would normally have more complaints about. Ricky has a few characteristics that I feel like I normally wouldn't like in a character. She's pretty narcissistic in certain ways, also shallow in others, and there's some interesting insights that I brought up towards the end that I felt like were very, very on nose. I just feel like there's certain aspects of this I just really wouldn't enjoy. There's also the third act in general that I feel like a lot of people are gonna be like, well, I don't know. Maybe that's also another reason why I'm giving it a 4.75, because I'm like not fully sold either on every single thing, but you know what, I enjoyed it nonetheless. And I think there's aspects of this that make a lot of sense. However, there are two aspects, her job and a section of her job, because it's never shown. Once again, we hear about her doing these things, but we never actually get to see her do these things. And because it is never actually shown, I don't know if the result of what ends up being the truth of it all is like good enough. I also don't know if the company that she works for, there's one particular thing that happens that sets up the whole entire third actness. I don't know, like I would be really shocked that the company would be like, no, you have to do this because of what it entails. I understand part of it's her job, but also like another part of it's like not. And I feel like you can totally tell that there's like somebody out to get her. And then also I'd like to mention that if you deal with someone who has dealt with domestic violence or abusive parents or anything, maybe not for you. This book sent me into a panic attack, especially when the third act was like truly building. There's a moment where it just like the dominoes fall, and it was super hard to get through, and I had a hard time fully processing everything that's happening. It's happening so quickly and like exactly how you would expect something like this to happen. And it was happening like there's like one thing that happens in the third act. I was like, I can't believe this character is in this moment and they're doing this thing. But it makes a lot of sense, and I do think it can be extremely triggering. With that being said, that's the first book I read this year. It was a 4.75. We are in for an excellent year, is what I'm being told, is what I'm seeing. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you all next time. Thank you so much for watching.